Hey everyone, it's Justin with Voices for Voices. Thank you again for joining us on this episode of the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. Well over 300 episodes and going strong. Thank you for your love and support. Thank you for subscribing, liking, sharing, giving us the big thumbs up to help us reach our goal of helping 3 billion people over the course of my lifetime and beyond. And that is all due to your interest, your support, and we can't thank you enough for being with us from the beginning. Or if this is your first episode, we welcome you. We welcome you here in the United States or across the world, anywhere. We're happy to have you, whether you're watching or listening, uh, whether you're listening on an app like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or whether you're heading over to voices or voices.org / podcast, where you're able also for free to listen to all of our episodes all the way back from the beginning. And the best part is at the very top uh, of the page, you're able to see the latest and greatest that we have dropped episode wise. So you don't necessarily need to scroll down to check out additional episodes, which we highly encourage and recommend. Uh, you have to scroll down, but we scroll down all the time. So not a uh, nothing out of the ordinary. So thanks for being with us. A little bit different, I guess, dress on. I'm not I'm not wearing a dress, but just from the attire, uh, got the flowers and more of a summery summery shirt on. So yeah, same person, same show. Uh, it's it's just a good day to change it up, and that's okay. We're going to be talking about another topic that is something for you, the public, to be aware of, to know of, and so it'll be informational for a lot of you, and for some of you, because we know quite a few individuals in this industry, particularly that we're going to be talking about, uh, may be affected, may have been affected, or maybe know somebody who has been. And so that also is something for the public to be aware of. So let's get going. I was made aware of a news article that was posted, and we're going to again give credit where credit's due. Uh, this the story posted on Fox News Digital, right? So you have an Apple device, you type in foxnews.com or Fox News, and you'll be able to get to that particular site. But within that or this site is an article that was written by Stephanie Nolasco from Fox News, and it was published yesterday. So here in the United States, The date is Saturday, August 16th, 2025. And this particular article that we're going to be referencing, diving into, was published yesterday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And I guess a subtopic of this article is child stars. So we can think of one of the biggest that comes to mind for me is Macaulay Culkin, who played Kevin on the first couple Home Alone movies. And so he was a minor and he was a star. There are other actors and actresses in those movies as well. Kevin was really one of, if not the main main characters. So child stars is where we find this kind of at a sub level standpoint. And the title of the article is Former Disney Child Star Woke Up to $0 in bank account after nearly 20 years in showbiz. It's a lot to take in. So, former Disney star, Disney child star, woke up to $0, like logging into your banking app or showing up to the bank asking for a balance. Uh, and this individual woke up to $0 in their bank account, not after 6 months in show business, not after a year, but after nearly 20 years in show business. And this is specific to uh, the Camp Rock fame for Alyson Stoner. And Allison has a new memoir, so she has a new book that will detail what we're going to share. We'll give more details in that book. And the book is titled Semi Well Adjusted. Uh, Allison feels that lost literally everything. And so again, this is Alyson Stoner. You may know of the name from Camp Rock fame. Details the mismanagement of financial financial assets. So for a show, for a movie, there's payments that occur. They should occur. And Allison was doing the work, and then again, just literally looked in the bank account and saw, a zero balance or somewhere near that, given the 20 years and the dollar amounts that uh, were paid out over those 20 years. It's really, really something. So Allison looked at her bank account and was expecting to see over $1 million, and saw nothing. So just think about that. we have these expectations where we look at we look at things all the time, and some of those we expect to see a certain thing or within a certain range. And Allison expected to see over $1 million, and it's all there was nothing. Allison been performing since the age of 3. Her age, Allison's age is 32. So yeah, 32 minus 3, 19. So that's nearly 20. Just some of the credits that she has to her name is uh, danced alongside Missy Elliott, appeared in Cheaper by the Dozen, in Camp Rock. And those are just some of the films. And the next area we talk about and have talked about, Allison talks about how she was being groomed to be sold. And so Allison looked at her bank account, expected to see over $1 million, there were $0, and then groomed, her words, not mine, groomed to be sold, her words, not mine. And so this is what sparked wanting to put experiences, thought, fact, good faith, fact, uh, public safety concerns, right? Child star, Macaulay Culkin, that I referred to. I don't know when he started his acting career, but there were payments for the work that he had done. And I don't know how his financial situation is, if it's similar to this, or if it's not. Uh, And one of the big things here with the Stoner is quote, even though I was absolutely frugal and I continue to be, so frugal, you can look up that definition, but in my eyes, in my opinion, frugal means, we're watching over the money we spend, that we try not to overspend on lavish things. Do we need an ultra expensive form of transportation? Maybe, maybe not. Do we need the biggest house with every single upgrade that can be found? Maybe, maybe not. But in Stoner's case, was looking after money very closely and wasn't spending in the lavish lifestyle. And even though Allison was and continues to be on that frugal side of things, that there's a lot of areas, uh, loopholes that leave room for the child star to have that child's money be mishandled. And so when we think about that, my mind initially went to, well, these must be some people, organizations that are kind of on the outside, not somebody that they respected, a family member, again, just somebody that they respected. But that's not always the case, and that's what the tricky part here is when we talk about this topic is in this instance, Stoner was expecting who what the individuals and organizations that were going to be handling her money that they're not just solely people that they can trust. And it's been said many times that money sometimes brings out the crazy in people. Somebody passes away, a family that may have had minor concerns, interactions that were tense over the years, and once a loved one may pass, then it's like, okay, so where's all the money at? Who gets it? Where do I get mine at? And so we have people that have what could be considered good intentions, uh, but they feel entitled for one reason or another. And when we talk about this particular situation, that all different industries have different expenses. So let me bring in like corporate America, the 9 to 5, 8 to 5, whether you go back into the office, whether it's remote, i- if it's a return to the office, well, usually you can't just come in pajamas to work. And so there's, clothes that have to be purchased that are respectable, that are professional. And so that's a cost. And it's especially a cost when we're growing, right? We grow a little taller, maybe we gain a little weight, maybe we lose a little weight. Uh, and so those are kind of hidden expenses of, well, of course, you get a new job or your current job, you'd want to be appropriately, dressing appropriately based off of the organization's dress code policy. In the entertainment industry, there are different expenses that individuals go through that they have to spend regardless, as far as different, the business structures. Uh, as we move forward in this episode, Alyson Stoner, you may not recognize that name, but Alyson Stoner starred as Caitlin Geller on Disney Channel's Camp Rock. And so it might click a little bit more. Caitlin Geller on Disney Channel's Camp Rock. And so as Allison mentioned, it's shocking to wake up to that. It'd be shocking to me. There were points of denial that this isn't the case. It's got to be some form of misunderstanding. And then it got to the point of being afraid for the future, that she uses the word duped, kind of taken advantage of. And so Allison says, well, I'm afraid I might be duped again. And so then that goes into that confidence and self-worth, and we're questioning things. And so that came into play with Allison. And then what really is kind of a more a bigger picture is another question that Allison was asking herself was, do I have the competence, the knowledge, the life skills to find the way outside of the industry? You know, Ariana Grande has a song called Break Free. And so that's what I'm thinking about as this article illustrates what has occurred to Allison of, am I able to break free? Do I trust myself? How do I find people to help me and not hurt me? Allison is 32 years old now. It was in 20s when Allison made that discovery. And Stoner and her older sister, they kind of linked up to look at uh, records of where did the money go. And what they were finding out and did find out was that Alyson Stoner, Caitlin Geller business team, that they mismanaged Allison's finances. And so the money that was made and earned by Allison, the business team was taking advantage of Allison. Right. And so, a few examples, splurging on lavish gifts, making one-time payments to themselves. And I talked about earlier about sometimes it's outsiders that do this activity to individuals. But in Allison's case, it wasn't just the business team, which included people outside her family. But Allison also found out that the career bookkeeper which is Allison's mom, had been paying herself a monthly salary since Stoner was a child. And again, I talked about these other additional expenses that the mother was paying herself, not just a monthly salary, but one-off payments to herself, uh, that they were, several thousands of dollars all over the years. So if we look at, Camp Rock, some other individuals that you may recognize, name. So we have Alyson Stoner, we have Kevin Jonas, Joe Jonas, Demi Lovato, and Nick Jonas. And as far as when Camp Rock premiered in Europe, the European TV premiere of Camp Rock was in the year 2008 in London in September at the Royal Festival Hall. And then we get into this other area that we talk about, budgeting, saving, and the expenses that go into being being in Hollywood. And so these expenses transcended more than one point in time, one age. And so an individual who had money at a young age was really being led astray. And the business team, the career bookkeeper, her mother, uh, there was never any conversation with Allison about saving money, budgeting money. And this quote is very, very telling. Alyson Stoner wrote in her new memoir that, quote, 15 years of labor turned into a crumbling house of cards, end quote. Allison goes on to say that a lot of people, especially people like individuals that are outside of, the Hollywood, the entertainment industry, they're not really aware of these expenses that can come into play that aren't expected. And Allison mentioned that it could cost $10,000 and $20,000 for different expenses that people are losing money when they're spending just a ton of time and engineer, a lot of time and energy and resources, audition. That's big way shows, movies, there's auditions, and individuals have to be selected to go into a particular show, particular movie. And there's more times where an individual is rejected than earning a part in whatever particular show or movie. And so there's a lot of unpaid labor, right? So nobody nobody's gonna pay an individual to audition. And so audition, usually the staff would be looking for individuals that memorize lines, that they're able to add different emotion at certain points, that their voice is not monotone, that there's inflection points where the voice is raised and lowered at certain times. All that has to be learned by the individual and individuals who are auditioning. Allison goes on to say, quote, when you're a child, the assumption is that you can afford to do this for fun because you aren't necessarily the breadwinner, end quote. Think about being discovered, eating at a restaurant, being at a sporting event, a conference, and somebody spotting you and they talk to your parents and it ends up working out where you have an opportunity to audition for a part in a play, a musical, a TV show, a movie, an advertisement, all those. And so the thought is, well, the children, they're doing it for fun. So we don't have to value their time in the preparation. There's not a preparation fee that gets paid to each potential actor or actress. And one of the most devastating parts with Alyson Stoner moved forward with a lawyer that specialized in entertainment. A lot of discussion, a lot of information being shared, and questions and answers and research. In the end, Allison and her legal counsel, especially in entertainment industry, decided against legal action because, quote, can't burn a bridge with my mother, end quote. The mother, the bookkeeper, that was paying herself a salary out of Allison's earnings for her work, for Allison's work, not the mother's work, Allison's work. And Allison was a child, and the talk about budgeting and, well, here are things we have to pay, here are things we don't. None of those discussions happen. And so the mom took advantage of it, inserting herself and saying, hey, through her actions of deciding that she deserved uh, a monthly salary and also one-time payments from time to time in the thousands of dollars. And part of this reasoning that Allison gives, as far as not deciding to um, not to continue with legal proceedings against her mother, is that Allison has a lot of empathy, forgiveness, compassion towards people, and she had and still has that towards her mother, even after learning what's occurred. And one of the reasons is because the mother had also struggled with alcohol. So as we kind of close out this episode, uh, Allison began performing at the age of 3, attended a performance convention in New York when at the age of 6, and not knowing the Allison that this performance convention was a recruitment funnel for Hollywood, right? What's a funnel? Starts out bigger at the top and then it gets smaller, smaller, smaller. And think about putting if you have a gas powered vehicle, think of putting gas enhancement or cleaning out the gas tank. And so you put the funnel in the gas tank at the small end and then you pour the product into the bigger part of the funnel, and then it circulates, and then that's how it fits in there. And so this performance convention was a big recruitment funnel for Hollywood. Alyson Stoner and her family, up until then, the Midwestern family, and didn't have any affiliation with it with the industry. So it's one thing if family has been in the industry, doesn't make it so that things are gonna always run smooth. It just means that they have a potential to understand or be made aware of things earlier than somebody that's trying to learn the industry. At the beginning, Allison didn't have any aspirations to pursue, the Hollywood, the creative industry. But again, there's this funnel at this performance convention where there's a lot of players, or there's agents, managers, casting directors, and they were used to seeing these children go through the process almost like a conveyor belt, becoming what Allison says are, quote, packaged products for audiences, end quote. I mean, it's almost like it shows like The Voice or America's Got Talent, where these are entertaining shows and they're real, that they're not being rigged or anything like that. And then at the end of the season, somebody wins something, a contract, a payment, a show, different for everybody. Any all these different types of shows. And so if you're a music executive or you're an artist who has their own record label, that those auditions are just like this. Individuals that are auditioning, whether they're auditioning with the TV audience as well or not, same same purpose, same idea. And so then instead of, an executive or label representative having to always just go out and look, they could insert themselves around these shows or in these shows and they can find out like Kelly Clarkson, she was the very first American Idol winner. You can bet your good money that whoever noticed and had her under contract made a lot of money. Very successful artist, singer. Allison also talks about, again, in that Midwestern family of hers, didn't have any experience in, the creative and Hollywood industry, and that nobody gave them a manual of how to, what to do. Like step one, step two, step three, four, five, six. Here's topic A, here's topic B, here's C. Uh, there wasn't an orientation period. And so not only that, Allison didn't know really the both the short and long term implications having companies own Allison's name, image, and likeness. So doing that paperwork, getting that signed, notarized, by the time she finds out, by the time Allison finds out, there's already legal paperwork where your name, your image, your likeness is already owned. And we would think like, well, wouldn't that be the parents? No, not always, not always the case. And that's what a big concern is. That's why we're doing this episode. Allison had found out the hard way. Like a lot of people that are stepping out and stepping forward. And so you have this Midwestern family who may have just had papers put in front of them and they sign them, might not have the money to pay for an attorney to defend them, to just look out for their best interest. And so the family didn't know because again, there's no manual what to expect, what to do, the consequences of disrupting every area of their childhood development, removing Allison from school, to navigate 80-hour work week. It's it's it's, 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 it's huge. Uh, An area that she mentions I want to share is, quote, one of the areas that was most uncomfortable was being in a casting room where you're playing opposite adults and you're being coached to come across as provocative, and you're rewarded with maybe a callback if you showcased the right amount of sin, said Stoner, end quote. That sound familiar? Mm. There's times Allison was on set um, without any guardians, any, right? If parents, guardians have to work, they're not going to be able to be on set because, again, they haven't received payment. And the people who have, and this includes her mom, they come forward in the name of, well, we're taking care of this child, and so it's in our best interest for us to have control. Allison also talks about crew members might not even know their age. A lot of room for pushing the envelope, potential grooming, and being taken advantage of. You may also know Alyson Stoner as a voice actor in Phineas and Ferb. There's countless stories that Allison shares in this article, as well as in her memoir, of where young people who were hired to play one character, and upon showing up to set, they're slowly and systematically coerced into doing more than what was originally on that script page. Allison attended the recent Comic-Con in San Diego. We had the district attorney of San Diego County, uh, Summer Stephan, on to talk about some of the child trafficking, child abuse that happened at last year's Comic-Con. And she's a big supporter for survivors and works with law enforcement to try to find these individuals who are preying on these children. On the positive here, Alyson Stoner is the founder of Movement Genius, which is a online platform that primarily looks to make mental health support more accessible. Stoner is also a voice actor for Disney. Stoner strongly recommends, encourages people to pursue local community theater first. She's giving advice to parents because for a young person to be able to be healthy in development, they need developmentally appropriate experiences, not showing up for one character only to find the grooming for another. Stoner also states, quote, at the moment, entertainment productions are not equipped to provide those experiences, end quote. So still to this day, 2025, entertainment productions, their entertainment industry is, is still not achieving that the bar. Stoner talks about how being an advocate, and this ties right into Voices for Voices, uh, on so many levels that we shared with this particular story, that for Allison to be an advocate for the next generation of performers is the most important role of today. So this was a very straightforward look at yet another person in the entertainment industry who's been taken advantage of. When's this going to end? When's it going to stop? When's it going to be enough for us to say, this, I have had it? When is that going to happen? I want to thank Stephanie Nolasco from Fox News, who published this article, did the research, spoke with Alyson Stoner, got so much rich detail and information about the past, present, and what Allison looks at as the future of one of the biggest roles that one can have is to be an advocate for others. However, that is, it's different for all of us. And as a parent, you may be asking, well, I'm not in Hollywood, I'm not in the entertainment industry. Whether you're a parent, an uncle, an aunt, grandpa, grandma, we all have ways, if we look hard enough and we truly want to do good, look hard enough, we can be an advocate for a lot of good. And we can be that beacon of light in a world that has so much darkness, so much trying to divide. So let's support one another. Let's respect one another. And let's not take advantage of one another. So until next time, thank you so much for joining us. Give us a big thumbs up, like, follow, subscribe, share. Uh, tell your friends, your family, tell your whole network about the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. We're the hottest TV show and podcast out there. Why? Because we keep it real, we share truth, We share public health, public safety concerns, and we share topics that impact not only you, but me. And it's up to us to carry on that legacy of helping people and not hurting. Please be a voice for you or somebody in need. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much.